Hello everyone and welcome to Rob's Rogues, and today we're going to be looking at my top 10, okay, actually 11, but let's say top 11. Everybody does a top 10. I have a hard time deciding if you guys have watched my channel long enough, so I'm going to do a top 11, so just deal with it. My top 11 DCUC figures. And let me correct this by saying DC Universe Mattel figures. I've left out the Movie Masters, but this will include the Superheroes line. This is going to include Young Justice. This is going to include Batman Legacy, DC Comics Unlimited, and Batman Unlimited. Anything under the Mattel banner is up for fair game with me because the figures are all basically essentially the same. The mechanics are the same, the workings are the same. So again, deal with it. Now you're looking at Robin here and Red Robin, both Tim Drake's. These would be my number 1 and number 2 figures. Number 1, number 2. And it's not a whole lot of fun when you know what the number 1 figure is, and if you've been following Rob's Rogues for long enough, you know that I'm a huge Robin fan, so you knew a Robin or a Red Robin was going to be in the top 1 or 2 spots, and you would be correct. So I'm actually not going to count them. Technically they would be, so you could take the bottom 2 figures off the list, but I thought it'd be kind of something else to say, okay, you know what my number 1 is. Number 1 and number 2, I could say, okay, here's 3, 4, 5, and go on. So I thought I would decide to do the other 11 figures that I like. So to kind of give a little bit of suspense to see where these guys would fall in line now that take them out of the list, as you know they're going to be number 1 and number 2, but who else gets to join the list and makes it a little bit fresh and a little bit different for everybody else watching, hopefully. And I kind of see that they've got a little symmetrical thing going on here, a little parallel. Perpendicular? Nah, you figure out the angle. Just kind of noticed how I have them. Anyway, so let's get started. Here is figure number 11. Number 12. Rob, you said number 11. Yeah, I had him up here on the table, and evidently I don't know how to count to 11. So since he's here, we're going to say top 12, because that's just what we're going to do. Shazam. People would say Captain Marvel. I like the name Shazam. I'm glad that they said his name was Shazam. I always thought it sounded kind of weird calling him Captain Marvel when there used to be a Captain Marvel in the Marvel Universe over at the other company, and now that there is again, it's a female one, and he says Shazam. I know that's his power, but I remember having the Superpowers figures and they referred to him as Shazam, and I just remember being a kid thinking that's what his name was, and once I got to be a little older and realized, oh, he's Captain Marvel. I wasn't sure if I was going to put him on the list. I really, really like Shazam as a character. I think he's a very, very good figure. I got him with a 2-pack with Black Adam. I am very much in love with his new look. There's a little bit tweaking that they did to the Shazam figure. Got a longer cape. He now has a hood. For this year, for the San Diego Comic-Con 2013, you can pick up a new 52 Shazam from Mattel. They're going to have a few on MattyCollector.com. I think the day of the convention, I'm going to desperately try and get a hold of one. If I do, I can tell you right now, just from the prototype look of the figure, I think he's going to be moving very quickly up the ranks in my DCUC figure collection. But to kind of start it off, or you could say this is the honorable mention, the 12th figure is Shazam. Something I always liked about Shazam, just being a kid, I was always kind of small in school and kind of got picked on. I thought, man, if I could just yell Shazam, I would show those bullies. So Shazam, sorry out there, Stu, kind of ranks just a tad bit higher than Superman in my book. Sorry to dismay anybody. I just like Shazam, so there you go. Number 12, Shazam. Number 11, Red Arrow from the Young Justice. Somebody may go, ooh, Young Justice figures. I love the Young Justice cartoon series. We're going to get the final DVD installment from the Young Justice, so we can watch all those at our leisure. This was a figure I was really wanting to get, and for a while he was kind of hard to get. I still think he kind of is. I love this Red Arrow figure so much more than I think the Wave 20 Red Arrow, which is basically a repaint of the All-Star Green Lantern, just with a silly grin on his face. If you're looking for one Red Arrow, this is the one to get. I think he is such a good figure. If you're a Young Justice fan, I think he's great. It's a no-brainer. If you're a DCUC collector, I think this is a very good figure to pose with any of your Green Arrow figures. I think it works really well. A little on the cartoony side, but not too bad. But he has one of the best bows out of all of the DCUC figures that are out there. Artemis is a second figure. She almost made an appearance in this, but a couple others kind of knocked her out of the running. But a very good figure and such a good bow. I would like to get another Red Arrow so I can get this bow or find this bow somewhere else, paint it green, and give it to my Green Arrow figure. But I think this is a very, very good figure and probably one of the gems from the Young Justice line. So number 11 in my collection is Red Arrow. Alright, we are now into the top 10, and number 10, I believe, is the Wave 20. There's been so many waves, I forgot which one this is. I believe he's Wave 20 Green Arrow, the modern Green Arrow. I love this figure to death. Everybody but Shazam got to come up close to the camera. I think this is a very, very good Green Arrow. I think just kind of epitomizes everything that Green Arrow is. I'm a big fan of the Arrow TV show. And other than him not having the goatee now in the New 52 or in the TV show, kind of takes a lot of cues from this Green Arrow outfit. The one drawback is this crappy bow. He came out well after the Young Justice. Green or Red Arrow, they could have given exactly what I said, paint that bow green and given it to this Green Arrow. But I think this is a fantastic Green Arrow. I have the All-Stars. I forget what wave he actually was, but the old Green Arrow, but I got him as an All-Star wave. It's one of those I didn't think I was going to be able to find a Green Arrow, so I bought that, and then about a year later I was able to pick this one up in a store. But a very good figure, and in my collection definitely deserves number 10. So there is the number 10 of my favorite DCUC figures that I have, the modern Green Arrow. And the number 9 figure in my collection, the Batman Unlimited New 52 Batgirl. I absolutely love this figure. I actually love the figure more than I love the comic book. I really, really want to love the Barbara Gordon Batgirl being back as Batgirl in the New 52. I love her costume. I like a lot of things that are going on. Gail Simone, for whatever reason, is just not hitting it out of the park like I hope that she would, but maybe that'll change. But I love this figure. Was one that I desperately, desperately wanted to get from a line, and I just love the little metallic sheen that she's got, the glossiness to her. There is a variant that I think it might be an error, but there's a few of them that her hair is black. They did not paint it red, and I've seen some on YouTube. I gave her an accessory. She did not come with one, because a lot of us have so many Batman figures with so many Batarangs, and yeah, she can hold one. But I love this Batgirl quite a bit. I have the DC Superheroes Batgirl, but for me, I think this, this is the Batgirl that I have posed with my other Batman figures. She's got a little bit of hip stuff going on with her legs, but she's able to stand on her own. And for me, this is my number 9 figure. This is the Batman Unlimited New 52 Batgirl. And the number 8 figure in my collection is the Mad Love Harley Quinn. Now this is basically a repaint of the Harley Quinn. I can't remember her original wave number, but her face was a little on the green side, so when they gave us a repaint of the Joker, and then they gave us Harley 2 from their classic Mad Love comic book pose, they repainted Harley and gave her a nice bright white face. This is an excellent figure. I love every single thing about this, and was definitely a figure that was sorely missing in my collection. And I picked her up, I want to say it's almost been a year now, I think. Maybe not quite a year, but close to it. And I thought I had missed my opportunity. We don't have a Toys R Us around us, so we have to kind of drive about 40 minutes up to Toledo, Ohio, which we don't get up there quite a bit. And I missed the original Harley Quinn, and when the Mad Love came out, I was there one week. They didn't have it. About a month later, we went back, and they had one of the Mad Love figures left, the 2-pack, so I picked it up, and she is sitting almost front and center on my villain side of my shelf next to the Joker. So she is a welcome addition to any Batman fans collection. This is my number 8 DCUC figure, Harley Quinn. And the number 7 figure is my favorite Green Lantern, Kyle Rayner. This was the Series 2 or Wave 2 of the Green Lantern figures. I don't know if they actually counted the waves correctly, if the Wave 20 DCU is actually Wave 20, if they count the Green Lantern waves, but neither here nor there. I love this Kyle Rayner figure. Forgot to have Harley up in front of the camera there. Apologize for that, as I'm kind of seeing her in the background there. But Kyle Rayner, I bought him in a store called Meijer, M-E-I-J-E-R. It's basically a Walmart. Walmart's colors are, are blue. Meijer's are red. Almost same type of store. He was the only one on the shelf, and I have never ever seen him in another store, in a Walmart or a Target, Toys R Us or anything. I call it dumb luck for Rob that I was able to buy him in a store instead of spending the $40 or $50 that I would on eBay or Amazon. But I love this Green Lantern figure, and I like him very much as a Green Lantern. Of course, now in the New 52, he has become a White Lantern recently. I kind of hope he will return back to being a Green Lantern, but on my shelf, he kind of stands up just a little bit farther in the line over my Hal Jordan figure. But the number 7 in my collection is the Kyle Rayner Green Lantern figure. The number 6 figure in my collection is the big, massive, wing, brutal, savage Hawkman from the New 52 from the DC Comics Unlimited line. I love this figure. I'm glad I never really got around to picking up a Hawkman from the old DC UC line. I always wanted to. I was actually starting to bid on one. Then I saw that this guy was coming out, so I stopped bidding. I've already reviewed the Hawkgirl and Gentleman Ghost 2-pack. Hawkman and Hawkgirl look great together, even though she's from the old continuity. Still, I think they both look great together, and I love this Hawkman immensely. Some people are kind of on the fence about the face. I think it really kind of works. I've seen the review spot saying his face looks really good from here. Maybe not so much here. He kind of looks a little cross-eyed. But given the right light and just maybe tilting his head down just a little bit gives him that more mean and menacing look. I think they really nailed this figure very well. I love everything about this figure. I almost had Hawkgirl in my collection video here of my top 12 figures of DCUC, but she didn't quite make the cut. But I like this figure a lot. Hawkman is so big, he's in the back row, not because I don't like him or anything, but his wingspan is just so big, even when it's closed, he blocks everybody that is behind him. So real quick, when I bring the next video up, you're going to see Hawkman and Batgirl switch positions, because if I put Hawkman in line with the next figure, Batgirl and Green Arrow are totally going to get lost in the wingspan of Hawkman. So somebody may go, ooh, Batgirl moved up in the line, and you know, maybe she could. I like her that much almost to have moved her, but you know, but you'll see the change happen pretty quick. But that is the what number did I say? The number 6 figure in my DC Universe collection. Alright, we're at the top 5. And as you can tell here, it's the little guy, but has a special place in my heart for the superpowers and the old classic Batman comic books of the 50s, 60s, maybe a tad bit of the 70s, Scooby-Doo, if you will. And that is the Batman Unlimited Penguin. I absolutely love this figure. Probably next to Batgirl and maybe even soon to be Batman, Penguin was a must-have. I did not have a Penguin in my collection in the DCUC scale. I do have an Arkham City Penguin, but I kind of wanted that classic Penguin to go in with the rest of my Batman Rogues gallery, and I'm finally so happy that they released this Penguin. I think he was kind of seen at some toy fairs probably almost 2 years ago, and then nothing was ever said again, and a lot of people thought that we were never going to get a Penguin other than the Wave 1 Penguin. I think that's what that wave was. But I am very much in, if you could be in love with an action figure, I just love this figure. I really had to toss a turn if he was going to be a number 1 figure for me, but you'll see there's some other ones that kind of beat him out. But I think this is a very, very good figure. Hopefully you've been able to pick him up. So the top 5 figure for me in my collection is the Batman Unlimited Penguin, or the classic Penguin. The number 4 figure in my collection is the recently released Wonder Woman from the DC Comics Unlimited New 52 version of Wonder Woman. I finally have a Wonder Woman. The Wonder Woman, I can't remember what wave she was. She came out in an all-star wave, but I wasn't willing to pay the high price. I thought about it until they were releasing this figure, and I can finally have a Wonder Woman, even with her little butt sword holder, which I would love to take this thing off and put it on her hip where it probably should go, but it is what it is. Aside from that, I love this figure, and I'm glad I never got the other Wonder Woman, because I think I like this just a little bit more than the original Wonder Woman. Don't hate me, but this is my collection. If you want to put up your top 12 or 5 figures, do it. Put her up on the list. Put the original Wonder Woman. I like this one. And being a Wonder Woman fan, I came in kind of late to the game, to the DC Universe Mattel line, so kind of had to wait quite a while to get a Wonder Woman, but I'm finally glad that I did, and she's number 4 in my Mattel DC Universe collection. And this is the DC Comics Unlimited New 52 Wonder Woman. Number 3, Batman from the Young Justice line. I absolutely love this Batman. I have said it a lot. He is probably one of my favorite Batmans up until recently, so number 3 is actually a tie with himself. You will see in just a second, but we'll bring Batman closer to the camera. I love this Batman. Either one of these Batmans for me is my favorite. I really can't pick between the 2, or technically 3, but yes, they did reuse some parts of Batman, but other things they resculpted, gave us a new head, a new cape, a new belt, new gauntlets, just an overall really, really good Batman, and kind of a hard Batman to find. I got one new and in box I got from Big Bad Toy Store, which is this one, and then I got one from a China seller before I got a hold of the Big Bad Toy Store one, because I did not think that I was going to get the one with the base and all the accessories. So technically I have 2 of him right at the moment. But I think this is really good. He fits in very well with all of your DCUC figures, and I think he's one of the top Batmans to get if you kind of liked him having the trunks. But like I said, I do have a tie, and it's kind of a shocking tie that he's with himself. You'll see in just a second here a little bit of computer imagery here. Shiny Batman. I did not think I love the All-Star Batman with the matte gray finish, but the more I kind of play around with him and start posing him around on my shelf, I really like Shiny Batman. I didn't think I was going to like Shiny Batman. Yeah, I'm not kind of crazy about the shininess of the cape, but at the same time, it really kind of works. You know, I thought about taking the All-Star cape off of the New 52 Batman and put it on this New 50 Shiny 2 Batman and put the flat matte head on, because the boots and the gloves and boots are shiny, but the shininess overall is really kind of working for me. I'm really digging it, and maybe I might like it just a little bit more than the All-Star Batman. And my All-Star Batman's got a loose head and his knee down here. The pin wants to keep coming out. So I think the Shiny Batman kind of gets the little more nod to the top, but I'm really at a tie. These two Batmen, I could not choose which one I like. I usually always go to this Batman, but the more I'm looking at this Shiny Batman, the more I like him every day. So I normally say, oh, if I only have to pick one, I can't. Maybe you could tell me which of these two you like, as people are falling here. Maybe Wonder Woman just made that choice for me of which Batman I like. But there you are. Tied at number 3, I couldn't make the choice. The Batman Unlimited New 52 Batman, or shiny-ass Batman, or the Young Justice Batman. I like him. Number 3. Number 2. You could say he's a DC superheroes, but he's been recently packaged with a repaint of another Batman with some splattered clay. But we're going to call him just plain old Clayface. Number 2. I love this figure. Man, I love everything about this figure. I love his rubbery arms. Now, some people have kind of said that the brown tends to get a little bit dingy over time just because of the rubber. You kind of see the colors are a little bit off here, but I'm okay with that. It's got this big nice pipe cleaner in here. You can move the arms around. It's nice and rubbery. I mean, I love the look of this figure. Definitely one of my favorite Batman villains, right up there with Mr. Freeze, which surprisingly did not make my collection video. He probably should have, but that's a discussion for another time. But Clayface, number 2. Would you believe that Clayface beats out Batman in my collection of my favorite DCUC figures? Of course, he didn't beat out Robin, because both Robins are at the top, but that's a discussion for later. But number 2 in my DC Universe collection, the big, massive, and part rubbery Clayface. So, who is number 1 out of my collection? Now, technically, like I said, Robin and Red Robin are technically number 1 and number 2, so you can adjust these numbers. But for the purpose of this video, which is the number 1, or actually number 3, but for this video, number 1 DCUC figure that I like? Well, watch right here. It is the Wave 16 Collect and Connect Bane. I love this figure. The very first Collect and Connect figure that I ever completed. I bought every single figure in a store. I watched like a hawk when it was coming out. Of course, there were 2 Robins in the wave, Azrael, Batman, the Riddler, and then a couple other, some throwaway characters, but a very solid Batman heavy wave. And to get a big, giant Bane to go stand next against my Batman or Azrael Batman or just whatever, I think is very, very cool. And this is my first go-round with the Collect and Connect, and I enjoyed hunting down each of these figures and buying them in a store. I really, really like Bane. Just in the sheer size, he's all venomed up. It was kind of cool seeing, you know, which figures I was able to find. Sometimes I bought 2 at a time, and then the last couple I had to buy one, and then Bane was almost all complete but a leg, and I can't remember what leg, what figure came with this leg, but for a while Bane was legless, but a very, very cool figure. So we'll be right back for one more second. Of course, right there you are, we have Red Robin as being number 2 and Tim Drake Robin being at number 1 respectively. Of course, I could throw in the red and black Robin and interchange those as being number 1. So there's actually my number 2 and number 1. But since you already knew what number 2 and number 1 were, for the sake of this video, Bane. So these are my 12 figures, or actually 13 and 14 favorite figures. I always have a hard time doing, okay, I'm going to do 10. So there's actually another Batman standing up here, which I have a hard time between. Of course, there are other figures that aren't even up here that I like a lot. It's hard to just pick, you know, okay, I'm going to do 5 figures and that's it. So what would the 5 be? You'd have 1 Robin, 2 Red Robin, 3 Bane, 4 Clayface here, and then the tie between the 2 Batman. I love the Young Justice Batman a lot, but right now I'm really digging Shiny Batman. I like the All-Star Batman a lot, the more matte finish, but Shiny Batman's kind of doing it for me. So let me know what you think of this top 12, 13, 14, or however many figures are here. All the figures that you've seen up here, I like each of them a lot. If I could only say these are the only figures I'm ever allowed to keep or allowed to have, I'd be sad because I'd be missing so many other figures. But you'll have that. So this has been my top, whatever number these are, figures from Mattel, DC Universe, Batman Legacy. I don't think there's any Batman Legacy up here. Unlimited line, a Young Justice, whatever. If it's got a Mattel stamp on it and it's around the 6-inch action figure size, I included it. So that's going to wrap it up for me. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. It probably went on pretty long here, but they tend to do on Rob's Rogues. So we've been looking at my top videos, and as always, figures. Rob, shut up. As always, this is Rob for Rob's Rogues signing off saying we will see you guys next time. Whew, that took a long time.